We are live. Welcome to emergency live show of college football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. Big breaking news this evening. Now, I'm going to say this word over and over again tonight. Could. It could. It could. But man, the dots are starting to connect. In fact, this is a scenario that many of you have described in our very own chat room here at College Football's Peek Around the Corner. Our own community has talked about this possibility. And what am I talking about? Emergency live show. Early exit of Oklahoma and Texas from Big 12 to SEC could fuel Big 12 expansion in taking some of those four-corner PAC 12 schools. You think I'm crazy? Of course you do. But many of you have put this in the chat room. This scenario. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner emergency live show. Now let me first let me advertise the show on Twitter. Come on in. Don't be scared. The water's warm. We love everything about college football. We cover everything about college football. And if you do as well, come in, subscribe to our channel, come into the chat room, give us your thoughts and your comments of today's breaking news from CBS Sports. We'll get to it in a second. Hold on. This is an emergency live show. We do emergency episodes, but this is an emergency live show. Okay. First, let me set the table. And then I'm going to read you an article that was just released this evening from Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports. I have put the link of this article in the description box below the video. So later you can go and read it yourself. Okay? But let me set the table before we discuss this Dennis Dodd CBS Sports article. First of all, West Virginia guy, nice to see you in the house. James, nice to see you in the house as well. Here we sit in the corner. Peek around the corner, we sit in the house on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kirk Gowdy Avenue. Subscribe to our channel, hit the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. If you want to donate to the channel tonight, just hit the $sign. If you want to make sure I get to your comment, you might want to hit the $sign. If you want me to sing a song, donate to the show for a later show, for a fight song if your team beats them. You know how all this works. But let's get to the big story. Jesse Wilson, nice to see you in the house. Anthony Palika, nice to see you. A new person into the house. We had to do this emergency live show because on CBS Sports article this evening. Let me set the table. I'm going to set the table. I'm going to read the article. I'm going to do my monologue. I promise you I'm going to get to your comments as soon as I possibly can. Okay. We've been hearing this. Brett McMurphy broke this story. And remember, if you've been following this channel for months, I've been telling you, listen to Brett McMurphy. Listen to him on this realignment stuff, on any stuff, but especially this stuff, but any stuff. Listen to Brett McMurphy at Action Network. Please, please, I can't tell you why, just please, if you're going to listen to anybody, listen to him. Okay, he put out, last week, he broke the news that it was possible, that it looks like it was building up towards, it could happen, Oklahoma and Texas could leave the Big 12 1 year early to go to the SEC. Now hang with me here. Hang with me. Eventually, this will get to the big story of tonight. Remember, Oklahoma and Texas supposed to leave the Big 12 to go to the SEC for 2025, but they could go 2024. Now, in doing so, they're going to have to pay a large exit fee. According to the bylaws of the Big 12, it would be about $84 million a year. But historically, when you leave a conference and the exit fee, you can get it down. You can pay about 60% of that, 70% of that historically. So maybe Oklahoma and Texas can leave the Big 12 1 year early if they pay about $60 million each. There's great motivation for Texas and Oklahoma to do so. First of all, they're going to be going in the SEC, and they're going to make that money up real quick in the revenue they get from the SEC and that new huge SEC contract they got with ESPN, but also the increase in exposure. You know the motivations. Texas and Oklahoma, for whatever reason, don't really want to play with the new members of UCF and BYU and Houston and Cincinnati. Okay, they got their own motivations. That's cool. If they leave 1 year early, they're going to have to write a big old check. Now, would that satisfy the Big 12? The Big 12 needs to be made whole. Because if they leave 1 year early, Texas, now hang with me. If Texas and Oklahoma leaves 1 year early, that current Big 12 TV contract takes a hit in accordance to the Big 12 media contract that they have with Fox and ESPN. So those Big 12 schools would take a hit if they just let Oklahoma and Texas leave. Okay. Fox Sports also needs to be made whole if Oklahoma and Texas leave 1 year early. Remember, when Oklahoma and Texas go, those two big brands, humongous brands, valuable brands, if they leave early, 1 year early, that diminishes, in theory, the Big 12 value. And Fox Sports is not going to be covering any more Oklahoma and Texas home games. Okay? We know that. So, Big 12 has to be made whole. Fox Sports has to be made whole if Texas and Oklahoma leaves 1 year early. So, according to Brett McMurphy, ESPN holds, what did he say? They hold all the keys to the castle. SEC wants Oklahoma and Texas to come in a year early. So ESPN holds all the keys to the castle, per Brett McMurphy. Now, let's talk about the big, and Rebecca, nice to see you in the house, Jesse. Rebecca brings up a good point. We're going to hit that right now. How can the Big 12 be made whole? How can Fox Sports be made whole? Well, some of that is that exit fee check that Oklahoma and Texas will have to hand over to the Big 12 conference, and that would be distributed among the schools. Another possibility, or an add-on, that's definitely going to happen. One thing that Rebecca just said was Oklahoma and Texas could agree to play road games against some current Big 12 members for so many years. Like the Bedlam game, Oklahoma State, right? Oklahoma could agree to play some road games, non-conference road games, and then the next so many years at Oklahoma State. Texas could do this, would have to do the same thing. This could be a way to also make the PAC, the Big 12 whole, and Fox Sports whole, because they're going to hold, Fox Sports is going to hold them the rights, the distribution rights of some of those Big 12 football games. Okay, why does that have anything to do with what we're talking tonight? That is setting the table. According to CBS Sports tonight from Dennis Dodd, Oklahoma and Texas leaving 1 year early, going from the Big 12 to the SEC, that extra money could also fuel further Big 12 expansion to lure 1, 2, 3, 4 of the four corner Pac-12 schools. Sources say, CBS sources say. I'm going to read the article. Give me a couple more minutes. We've been saying how aggressive Brett Yormark has been talking in public. How confident he has been talking in public. And so far, everything Brett Yormark has said in public has come true. He was able to move up his TV deal 16, 18 months to get in front of the Pac-12 to cut a deal with Fox Sports and ESPN. He's got a pro rata clause in the contract that if they expand with current Power 5 programs, that basically those Power 5 programs would get paid at the same rate as the other Big 12 schools, that the expansion could happen, that Fox Sports and ESPN would most likely let it happen. Brett Yormark's been talking to Gonzaga. Okay, let's read the article. Because many of you probably haven't even heard this article. Dennis Dodd, I'm going to read it. Then I'm going to get to your comments. I see a lot of new people in the house. I appreciate you all coming in. This is an emergency live show. We were not planning on this. But the college football world is crazy. Here we go. Dennis Dodd, less than an hour ago. And again, I have the link of this article in the description box below the video. With conversations increasing around the possibility of Texas and Oklahoma leaving the Big 12 for the SEC earlier than scheduled, the steps needed to facilitate such a move are coming into focus. It is likely any deal involving the Longhorns and Sooners joining the SEC a year early in 2024 would include Big 12 right shoulders being made whole with a series of future non-conference games involving those teams within the league's footprint, industry sources tell CBS Sports. Presently, the Big 12 grant of rights expires in 2025. Freeing Texas and Oklahoma to join the SEC began to leak last week during the Big 12 league meetings in Las Vegas. The Big 12 new two media rights holders, Fox and ESPN, are key factors that complicate the situation. At the heart of the matter, how viewerships would be impacted on Fox and ESPN in 2024 if Texas and Oklahoma left before that season, as we discussed. There would be an obvious decline in viewership for the Big 12 package, and by extension, the value of the Big 12 media rights deal, as we discussed, without games from the conference's biggest national names, Oklahoma, Texas. Texas and Oklahoma are using the SEC TV consultant Alan Gold to facilitate a deal. So there's a lot of inertia, a lot of people working on this. Brett McMurphy talked about it last week. CBS Sports is breaking it tonight, but with an added nugget that we need to discuss. The idea would be to use games as currency, atoning for the viewership decline with Texas and Oklahoma playing a selection of future non-conference games at Big 12 schools. They would have to play games in the Big 12 footprint so Fox and ESPN can have value. An industry source told CBS Sports, if ESPN and Fox are happy, the Big 12 would be happy. That could potentially lead to the continuation of the Bedlam series between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State that was expected to end when OU joined the SEC in 2025. When those games would be played or how many would be scheduled is not yet known. Ultimately, the Big 12 is in the position to say either yay or nay. said one person involved in the negotiations. Remember that. We're going to circle back to that. The Action Network first reported on the escalated talks with Texas and Oklahoma potentially leaving for the Big 12 for the SEC in 2024. Okay, we're going to skip a couple of paragraphs. An announcement that Texas and Oklahoma would join the SEC in 2024 instead of 2025 could come as soon as early, it says next year, in January. One source told CBS Sports. It's advanced. It's further along, said a source involved in those conversations. It was going on long before Las Vegas during the Big 12 meetings. If the deal to leave a year early is consummated, the Longhorns and Sooners will officially become SEC members on July 1st, 2024. Going to skip a couple paragraphs. At least one reason why the two collegiate powerhouses want out early is to avoid sharing space with new Big 12 entries, BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF. Those four programs joined the Big 12 for a 14 league, at least for 2023. This latest development likely explains why the Big 12 has yet to announce the scheduling format for next season. Remember, none of those Big 12 schools have a schedule. If you go onto their schedule, 2023 schedule, none of them have a schedule listed as of yet. We're going to get to the money shot here. Just hang with me. Texas and Oklahoma have been pushing pretty adamantly that they want to exit sooner rather than later, a Big 12 source tells CBS Sports. They seem to have an issue with the four universities brought into our conference. Further motivation for Texas and Oklahoma to leave. The money shot's coming. Wait for it. Texas and Oklahoma would at least owe the Big 12 a termination fee for leaving early. At least a termination fee. The contract states any school departing early owes 2 years' worth of revenue, using an average annual figure of $42 million. The Big 12 could reap as much as $168 million if Texas and Oklahoma give notice to the league 18 months in advance. That sum couldn't be negotiated down depending on each side's willingness to get a deal done. Now get ready for it. Are you alert out there? Get ready for it. That sum could be negotiated down depending on each side's willingness to get a deal done. Whatever monies are paid could conceivably be used to fund Big 12 expansion, sources told CBS Sports. The Pac-12 remains without a new media rights deal, with their prospects seemingly diminishing. What? Let me read that. The Pac-12 remains, those Pac-12 schools, without a new media rights deal, with their prospects seemingly diminishing. The likes of Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah could potentially be lured to the Big 12. The idea would be to convince those schools they could make more money in the Big 12 and get way more exposure. So that's the article. That's the article. Again, I'm going to read you the money shot. We had to lay the table, and we had to go through the article to give you all context. But now let's read the money shot one more time. The sum, all that money that Oklahoma and Texas would have to pay in an exit fee, in a penalty fee, according to the bylaws, according to the grant of rights, it could be up to about $168 million. It'd probably be less than that. But all that money flowing into the Big 12, plus those games that Texas and Oklahoma could play on the road against current Big 12 schools to make Fox Sports happy, to make Big 12 happy. All of that could do what? The sum could be negotiated down depending on each side's willingness to get a deal done. Whatever monies are paid could conceivably be used to fund Big 12 expansion. Sources told CBS Sports. So there you have it. Could. Could is the magic word. But could. Because there's more money there. If you take your pen to napkin and you write the numbers down, okay, there's enough money there to be distributed among the Big 12 current schools to make them whole and then have money left over. If I had more time, I would have put up the blackboard up there as I've done before and wrote all the math, all those numbers. But there's going to be money. We'll do it on another episode, maybe tomorrow, early next week. But there is fuel. If this deal can get done, and I think it will get done, we've had an episode and a live show talking about how we thought it was going to get done here at Peek Around the Corner. The inertia, the win-win-win for all entities. If ESPN wants to get this done, and I think they do, Fox Sports gets made whole. The possibilities of what could happen to the Pac-12 conference is enormous. And this would give more fuel to the possibilities of Oregon and Washington taking a lower figure, but possibly going to the Big Ten. That's just another possibility in all this. But this is huge news tonight. The dots are being connected. And I'll get to your comments. I'm going to make one more comment, and I promise you I'm going to get to your comments. Brett Yormark, Kevin Warren, I'm not going to get into the connection, but Brett Yormark, when he said that he thought he could get a deal done early with Fox Sports and ESPN, that he could come all the way from 18 months and cut in front of the Pac-12. Because remember, the Big 12 wasn't even scheduled to be able to negotiate with their current media partners until way far out. And they were able to come in and they started negotiating. And Brett Yormark said in public a couple times, he doubled down, he tripled down. He said stuff like, I think we're going to get it done. I think we're going to get it done. And a lot of people were saying, my goodness, he's just selling and selling. You remember some Pac-12 writers were mocking him. Boy, he's always trying to sell. He's always selling. He's always selling. Well, that's what commissioners are supposed to do. But he closed. He actually closed. They actually got the deal done. And this opened up all sorts of possibilities for the Big 12. And we're seeing them. This is all about could. Could this happen? But it is right there. CBS Sports sources say that these monies could fuel Big 12 expansion, further expansion. It could grease the skids very easily. Those Big 12 schools would not have to worry about being made whole if they brought in 2 of those 4 corner schools or more, because the money is there. Brett Yormark wants that 4th TV window for the Big 12. He wants it. Okay, let's get to your comments. Breaking emergency live show here at Peek Around the Corner. We had to do it. We had no choice. We had to come on here. I know all of you want to give your thoughts and opinions. That's what this show is for. Joey Daglio, thank you so much for your generosity to the show. You've always been generous with us. Thank you for that contribution, helping us keep the lights on here at Peek Around the Corner. Thank you so very much. Rebecca Salisbury, thank you for your Super Chat donation. Appreciate it. So many great comments coming in. We're going to get to them right now. big night. CBS sources say that the early exit of Oklahoma and Texas from the Big 12 to the SEC could fuel further Big 12 expansion. And you know what? The numbers make sense. That's why the story in itself has so much fuel. The dollars, the logic, all of it makes sense. The dots are connecting. West Virginia guy, I could see Colorado and Arizona schools coming from the Big 12. Those would be my two favorites that would have the most interest. Colorado going back home to the Big 12. Arizona, big time, mega basketball brand, going to the best basketball conference in the country. I'm also starting to wonder about Oregon and Washington. I see Rebecca's comments down below. We'll get to those, Rebecca. And again, thank you, Rebecca, for your contribution to this channel. We'll get to them. James, from everything I know, Arizona State and Utah are adamant out staying in the PAC. Colorado and Arizona are the best shots at becoming convinced to move. I agree with you, James. I absolutely agree with you. We all have to step back for a moment, though. Now, we're speculating. We're using logic. We're using some intel we've picked up along the way. But there is a certain danger here in the Pac-12. We've talked about it. We've said there's a fracture inside there. Picking out exactly what school, now we would say Arizona and Colorado are the favorites to move to the Big 12. But the sands underneath that conference is so unsettled that who knows? I mean, maybe Oregon and Washington, it's not likely, but who knows? If they can't get into the Big Ten right now and they're going to keep swinging, they might just pick up that phone and say, Yormark, get us out of here. CBS Sports, in that article, again, read it for yourself. I put the link in the description box underneath the video. CBS Sports Dennis Dodd says the deal. What did he say exactly? It's seemingly unlikely. Like the deal, the Pac-12 deal, he made it sound like the Pac-12 new media deal is falling apart. It's like maybe they can't even get anything done worth any value. And if that's the case, Oregon and Washington are the two highest, most valuable brand. And maybe they maybe they call Yormark. 2 days ago, I would have said no, but who knows? Because this article only reinforces this scenario that a lot of you have been talking about here in our own chat room. There's a possibility all this is to come true. This is the reason why Fox Sports and ESPN wanted to work with Yormark, get the deal done, bam. So now he could explore further expansion, bam. Fox Sports is supporting the talks between Big 12 and Gonzaga. Bam. Right? Tim Brando, Fox Sports commentator, says, I think, in my opinion, Colorado will be in the Big 12. That's what probably Fox Sports would want. Bam. One after the other. Let's get to your comments. Anthony, nice to see you in the house. Let's go. Jesse Wilson from the great state of Alabama. Good evening, my brother Greg and everyone. Nice to see you. Rebecca, Dodd said it was Oklahoma and Texas would schedule non-conference Big 12 games as a deal. Absolutely. That was in the article. That would be a way to make Fox Sports happy. That would help Fox Sports say, okay, we're for this. What Big 12 could get out of this deal is all that exit fee money from Oklahoma and Texas, huge amount of money, and then the fuel to further Big 12 expansion out west to make it basically official. The Big 12 is here to stay for decades. That's what this type of deal, if the Big 12 gets into Arizona, possibly California, gets out to 16 schools from all the way to east to west, it certifies Big 12 as a Power 5 program, Power 4 program, Power 3 program, right? This is what Yormark is working for. And George Kliavkoff, you've got to get a media deal done now. You can't wait until January, middle of January, late January. You can't wait to February. You got to go. You got to go now. You got to get the deal done now. You're in trouble, my friend. You're in trouble. You haven't listened to Peek Around the Corner. You didn't listen to us on March 31st when we broke the news USC called the Big Ten. You haven't been listening to us since we've opened up this YouTube channel. Listen to us now. Get a deal done. Get the paper and pen in front of those current Pac-12 presidents and say, let's sign this deal. Oh, and the grant of rights for Oregon and Washington, you don't have to sign it. Just sign so we don't lose you to the Big 12 and what's going on with Fox Sports, ESPN, Big 12, and SEC scenario. Kevin Newsom, yes, both Oklahoma and Texas need to go early. Both sides will benefit. Ryan, nice to see you in the house. I'm curious who will move next. Who will move next is Oklahoma. Well, out of the Pac-12, we don't know. We can speculate. If there's any movement. We can speculate that it's Colorado and Arizona. However, that's just speculation. The sands are moving underneath us even tonight with that CBS Sports breaking news. Breaking news tonight that the early exit of Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC 1 year early could have the money to the Big 12 that could fuel further Big 12 expansion. Danielle Dilly, nice to see you in the house. Appreciate you coming in. Hopefully this helps the Washington Huskies get to the Big Ten sooner rather than later. And then we have that scenario, right? We have that scenario. If it's truly crumbling, if the Big 12 is about to get all of this fuel to entice a Colorado and Arizona, then that could open up an Oregon and Washington scenario to the Big Ten, because maybe Oregon and Washington would even take a lesser payout. Who knows? But go ahead and speculate, because things have been crazy, but things are about to get even more crazy. If you go to our Twitter account, Flug Empire, we talked about this in the last live show a couple nights ago, Wednesday night. Cloak and Dagger. Go to our Flug Empire. Go to our pin tweet. Los Angeles Times wrote an article about us here at Peek Around the Corner. They wrote an article about me breaking some stories in the past. It's Cloak and Dagger. We alerted people this almost every live show. It's more Cloak and Dagger than you could even imagine. It's a game. It's a game, but it's more than a game, man. It's high level business. And if you're sitting there tonight thinking, well, Colorado and Arizona, they're not contemplating moving to the Big 12, and man, when there's a vacuum, things happen. And there's a vacuum in the Pac-12 because the Big 12 came and got their deal done, and the Pac-12 still hasn't presented a media deal in front of their current Pac-12 presidents. And then we get this breaking news tonight. A lot of people are working on a lot of things. Cloak and Dagger. Believe it. John Coy, nice to see you in the house. Appreciate it, sir. Arizona, Colorado, Gonzaga, and who? Big 12 bound. It could be just those three. It could be none of those three. Although we believe Gonzaga to the Big 12 is going to get done before the end of January. We're not going to talk about it on this live show. You can check out our previous episodes. UC Regent Gumby, nice to see you back, sir. OU says it couldn't leave sooner. That they can leave sooner. They're about to leave sooner. Joey, Greg, married to you. Also to all in the chat. Thank you so very much. Rebecca, Miss Husky. If the Big 12 can't convince Oregon and Washington to leave, it makes no sense for any of the schools to leave. Interesting take. But let's be honest here. Brett Yormark wants to solidify the future of the Big 12. He wants content in that fourth time slot, and he's going to get it by hook or by crook. And of course, how all this works, it's a domino. The top domino falls, the pieces fall downward. Oregon and Washington are the highest value brands in the Pac-12. We know this. But a Colorado and Arizona would do Brett Yormark just fine if it's paid for. If none of the Big 12 schools have to take a dip in pay, and they won't under this scenario from CBS Sports. So therefore, Colorado and Arizona would do Yormark just fine. And possibly a few other. And maybe Oregon, Washington maybe they have no choice but to jump and say, okay, Big 12, we're in. But the Big 12 is wheeling and dealing because they're able to. They worked out a pro rata clause in the contract. They got good exposure windows from ESPN and Fox Sports. So Brett Yormark, man, he's wheeling and he's dealing. Tony, Utah to the Big Ten. Greg, get Warren on the hotline. He hangs up when I call. Well, let me tell you something. Big Ten are not taking any of my calls either. Remember, everybody, the Big Ten doesn't like peek around the corner. We were the ones that exposed the USC to Big Ten, and only a few handful of media companies were listening to us. We're not, even though I'm a gopher, even though we talk Big Ten, we talk everything college football because we love everything college football. We talk about all the conferences, G5, Power 5. Kevin Warren is not picking up the phone if I call. I can trust me on that. Rebecca had to make a donation since Washington grabbed that Sioux Falls players that Minnesota was after. Yeah, that was a killer. Big time defensive end out of Sioux Falls, Division II school. Born and raised in Minnesota. He grew up a Gopher fan. We thought the Gophers could get him. And then Washington came in the last second. DeBoer, the coach, who used to be the head coach of Sioux Falls, they took him away from us once again. It's Heartbreak City in Minnesota. Shut up, get out. Nice to see you in the house. I wasn't saying that to you, Rebecca. The next person's handle was shut up and get out. Congratulations for Washington from getting that explosive defensive end, Zach Dufree. See, I already forgot the name of the guy, because he rejected Minnesota. So right after they reject Minnesota, I start forgetting the name. Zach Dufree, congratulations, Washington. Shut up and get out. Has Fox agreed to a pro rata, or is it only ESPN? Good question. It is only ESPN. But they're going to carry the majority of the value of the football games. They're going to get the best football games. So you're correct. Technically, shut up and get out. You are absolutely correct. It is ESPN. Daniel, yes, only ESPN is doing pro rata. Tony, does UCLA play Cal every year as a way to keep the welfare tax lower? Possibility. That's a good possibility. That might happen. Rebecca, Incarnate World up 2 touchdowns on North Dakota State in the first quarter. Wow. That's a shocker. North Dakota State was favored by anywhere between 9.5 and 7.5, I believe. North Dakota State Bison. There's some steam that they're thinking about moving up to FBS. UC Regent Gumby. Cal gets paid from UCLA annually. Okay, yep. Golden Blue Dude, you earn a subscriber out of me. Golden Blue Dude, big time YouTube channel. Thank you, sir, so very much. West Virginia college football, big time YouTuber. Golden Blue, appreciate your coming into the chat room. Appreciate your subscription. Big news, Golden Blue Dude. I know you're going to cover it. But this is big news. And what's the news for those who've just come into the channel? Texas and Oklahoma getting out a year early could fuel further Big 12 expansion. The money could be there, according to CBS Sports, Dennis Dodd. It came out tonight. The link of the article is in the description box. Appreciate you all so very much for coming into the house. Smash that like button if you like our content. Subscribe to our channel, just like what Blue and Gold Dude did. And if you want to donate to the show, make sure your comment gets read. Just hit that $. I also do, for many of those that have been following this channel for the longest time, since we've been birthed in August of this year, we sing fight songs of other schools. If your school wins a game, you can donate, and I will sing your fight song of your school in the next live show. People have survived. Barely, but they have survived. UC Regent, Gumby, Gold, and Blue Dude. Fancy seeing you here, sir. Yes, thank you so much, Gold and Blue Dude. I appreciate you. Appreciate what you do for college football, YouTube. You put out a lot of great information. Thank you so very much, sir. RW, the only real expansion move for Big 12 and Pac-12 is some kind of merger. San Diego State is third-tier institution in California. I have a hard time seeing California being okay with that. There's not going to be a merger between the Big 12 and the Pac-12. There is no merger when a wolf is chasing a rabbit. That just isn't going to happen. There is no motivation for the Big 12 to merge with the Pac-12. None. And there hasn't been for quite a while. Ever since Brett Yormark was able to move up the time window of the Big 12 in an exclusive window to negotiate with ESPN and Fox Sports, when he was able to do that and then get the deal done, everything changed. And we here at Peek Around the Corner, we're giving you a peek. We screamed it from the highest mountain. There's no mountains in Minnesota, but we screamed it out. It changed everything. It gave the power to Yormark and then it was announced that he got the pro rata clause in the deal with at least the ESPN portion of it. In the new media deal, this gave the power to Yormark, the ability to push the envelope. And man, he is pushing it. Gold and Blue Dude, I think the ACC and the Pac-12 fall. Big 10, SEC gets first pick, and then the Big 12 gets their picks. What Gold and Blue, what I agree with Gold and Blue Dude is, people are wondering, well, what's the value of the Big 12 going all the way to the West Coast and picking out that fourth time window? It's not going to increase West Virginia's payouts in the next media contract. So what? What it does, it solidifies the Big 12 after their new after their current media deal. It puts them in the game. We don't know what's going to happen in the new college football expansion playoffs after 2025. Remember all this talk, and it's great talk. I love it. I love the new expanded playoffs for 2024, 2025. But 2026, everybody's going to have to go back to the table and negotiate the 10 FBS conferences, the 5 Power 5, the 5 G5, and Notre Dame. 2026 is a world that we don't know how it's going to exist. So what Yormark is doing is he's trying to get that national conference. He keeps branding it national conference, national conference. He wants to get that 4-time window. He is securing the future of the Big 12 institutions. And shame on me for declaring that Brett Yormark, when he was hired as the Big 12 commissioner, as a risky choice. That's what my conclusion was. He was a risky choice. He's not a risky choice. He's a great choice for Big 12 commissioner. All right. Jesse Wilson, don't forget to smash that like button. Yeah, please don't forget to smash that like button. Daniel is in the house. Thank you, Daniel. $10 super chat. I tell you what, you're keeping the lights on in this studio, Daniel. Your generosity is knows no bounds, and not just the incredible generosity but on this channel, but the incredible friendship that you and I have. Thank you so much, Daniel. I appreciate it. I tell you what, Daniel, when Indiana and Minnesota play football against each other again, I'm going to root for the Hoosiers. How about that? Or I will sing the Hoosiers fight song for free. The next time Indiana beats Minnesota in football, I will sing the Hoosier fight song for free, live, just because of your incredible friendship, generosity to the channel. Daniel, trying to help. I'll be on the sidelines listening. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you so very much. Going to get to your comments here. A lot of great comments. Coos Corner is in the house. What's up, Gold Blue Dude? Coos Corner is in the house. Coos Corner, go to Gold and Blue Dude's YouTube channel. I'm sure you all have. All right? Go to Coos Corner's YouTube channel. I'm sure you all have and subscribe. Coos Corner, if I had his voice, if I had his talking voice, everyone would be a whole lot better. Coos Corner runs a fantastic show. I tell you what, West Virginia has great representatives on YouTube. Unbelievable. Well, they have an unbelievable fan base. Passionate, intensity. That's why I'm so downtrodden that they didn't move. That they didn't move on, getting a new coach. Nothing against Neil Brown, great guy, but that fan base deserves so much more. They needed to move. If Shane Lyons wasn't really willing to get rid of Neil Brown, then they needed to move. And it doesn't sound like President Gee was willing to move on Neil Brown either. So I feel like they're going through the same process as Nebraska did last year. The same churning of the waters with Scott Frost, knowing that it wasn't going to work, knowing that they weren't going to quite hit the portal good enough because these players do not want to go to a place that's unsettled. Neil Brown's a good guy, great coach at Troy, but West Virginia really needed to move on. And that's going to cost them this year. Hopefully they can regroup and get back to it after this year into 2024. Jason W., nice to see you in the house. Thank you for your donation, your super chat. Thank you for your generosity. Appreciate it, sure. Upper level manager at Amazon here would be very surprised if the Pac-12 got anything substantial from Amazon. Company is bleeding money and Prime is in the red. Jason W., thank you for those comments. Thank you for your super chat. I appreciate it. Woo, there's a lot there, Jason. There's a lot there. I will tell you, the Pac-12's timing isn't good either. The media money's starting to tighten, folks. Layoffs are happening. U.S. economy may not be doing too well going into 2024. Amazon put a lot of money out there for the NFL. They outbid everybody by a huge portion to get that Thursday night package. Amazon is in talks of getting more NFL properties, like NFL.com or Red Zone. I'm not sure, but I don't quite remember, but they're in talks about getting other properties. They went big on the Big Ten. They couldn't get it because Kevin Warren decided that he wanted concrete maximum exposure over the extra millions that Amazon offered over CBS and NBC did. But Kevin Warren selected premium exposure. By the way, Brett Yormark did the exact same thing. He could have waited. He could have waited another year. He could have said no to the deal that ESPN and Fox Sports gave him. But he wisely said, no, I'll take it. I'll take the deal. What's that saying? Bird in the hand is worth more than two in the bush. He wanted that deal done. And now that's given him power to do other stuff, which we're seeing unfold before us. And there's more to that comment that Jason made. I mean, I think Amazon would only be interested in that top tier Pac-12 content. If they're interested in any of the content of the Pac-12, it's that top tier. It's not that Pac-12 network. Amazon's not going into the Pac-12 network to buy that up. They want that top tier content. And I don't know if Oregon and Washington even want Amazon to have that top tier contract, because suddenly Oregon and Washington are going to fall behind in the exposure race versus West Virginia, Cincinnati, Houston, Baylor, TCU, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, because those schools have those prime ESPN and Fox Sports windows, because that's what Brett Yormark wheeling and dealing got them. I mean, you know, maybe I'm crazy. I am crazy. You all know I'm crazy. But the dots here are being connected. You can see them being connected. Cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger. All that is real. That is real. If someone tells you they're not real, that I'm telling you, when we were talking about USC called the Big Ten in March 31st, when we put that out there, when we put a video out there on April 4th on Twitter, and it's gotten over like 260,000 views, we explained all the reasons why USC called the Big Ten, why they're going to the Big Ten, all that. Daniel in the chat room will tell you, he knew about it. I gave him information in real time. Big Ten was following us every step of the way. 9 times they followed us on Twitter moments after we put up more information on Twitter about USC going to the Big Ten for 3 months. Every time Big Ten followed us, we sent that real-time information out to USC 247, Minnesota 247. All Eyes on Big Ten podcast, Big Kurt and Jeffrey the Greek. We sent it to Daniel, my friend, so people would know. We sent it out to other people, and they came back and said, this isn't happening. Even though, well, it's cloak and dagger. I'm telling you, it's more that's going on. And if you, I'm not going to name names here, but if you went out to a restaurant and a bar and you were talking to those big time college football reporters, they would tell you the same thing I'm telling you. But here's the difference. We're the rebel outposts of college football here at Peek Around the Corner. We do not have to, while we always keep our sources confidential, we do all that professionally, we don't have to worry about access to further information. The money perch talks to us, so we don't have to be careful what we say. We can say things about the Big Ten we disagree with, Big 12, PAC. So we say things. There are no strings attached here. We are just an independent outpost channel. We're not going to be invited to any cocktail parties from any conferences. If we apply to the Big Ten media, when they'll have those media things going on for basketball and footballs, they will not accept our application. Okay, they know who we are. We're completely independent, so we don't have to worry about access to our sources because we just don't. And that's all I can say about that. Okay, cloak and dagger. Those are the main words I want you guys to know tonight. It's happening right now. CBS Sports is just giving you a little peek around the corner of what's going on. Ted, nice to see you, Mr. Fighting Illini. Still no word on the new Illinois defensive coordinator to replace Walters. Many think will be a promotion of a current defensive coach, but other options with ties to Bielema are Chris Ash and the wild card Jim Leonard. Oh boy, I hope Illinois doesn't get Jim Leonard. Come on, let's get rid of him in the Big Ten. Excellent defensive coordinator. Of course, Mr. Walters, congratulations on your getting the head coach of the Purdue Boilermakers. The Boilermakers went out of their comfort lane. Instead of having this really good passing offense in the Big Ten West, they went out of their lane and they got themselves a prime defensive coordinator to be their new head coach. So congratulations to Mr. Walters and the Purdue Boilermakers. Anthony, I don't necessarily like conferences disappearing, but if they do, make it big deal. I think that's exactly what the Big 12 is doing, making a statement. Now, is the Pac-12 actually going to disappear? I think we've learned. Let's say this crazy scenario starts happening. It's not so crazy anymore, but let's say it starts happening. Let's say Oklahoma and Texas leave early to go to the SEC. The money comes in from the Big 12. It gives the ability to fuel further expansion, grab 2 to 4 of those 4 corner schools. Oregon and Washington unlock themselves, possibly go to the Big 10 or the Big 12. Let's say all that happens. It's really difficult for a conference to actually disappear. We've learned that in history. Look at Conference USA. Everyone picked them apart. You remember everything it's a domino effect, right? Power Fives, expansion, schools from the G5 moved up to the Power 5. Everyone has to backfill in their schools and their conference. Conference USA is at the bottom of the G5. They brought up some FCS schools. So it's really difficult for a total conference just to disappear. So it would be even unlikely for the Pac-12 to disappear. Maybe Washington State, Oregon State, maybe a California, maybe a Stanford. Maybe they could get some Mountain West schools and they call themselves the Pac-12 and they'd still maybe get that Power 5 payout money. That they wouldn't get much of a media deal. It would be very poor, but maybe they would be entitled to that new playoff expansion money as a Power 5 program. Remember, Power 5 programs get paid more than the G5 programs in this current playoff distribution money and in the 2024-2025. So I'm not necessarily thinking the Pac-12 completely disappears, but if all this happened, Big 12, man, they become the third conference, strongest conference, like Blue and Gold dude was alluding to. They stabilize themselves. They are here to stay. If all this happens, that's what the Big 12 is attempting to accomplish. And it is a big, big deal. Daniel, thanks for the insider info, Jason. Yes, thank you so much, Jason. I appreciate it. Please smash that like button if you like our content. Subscribe to our channel. We cover everything college football because we love everything college football. This is the home of passionate football fans. So please subscribe. Share the video with your family and friends. If you want to make sure your comment gets read, just hit the donation sign with small donation to help us keep the lights on. Thank you. But thank you for all coming here. This was not planned. This was an emergency live show because of Dennis Dodd's CBS breaking news tonight. The link is in the description below the video. Make sure you read that. Make sure you read that article. Lots of great comments here. John Coy, nice to see you in the house. Did I hear right? The PAC has no interest from Fox and ESPN? John, do you guys want me to go back into that? Yeah, there was one part of that article. Let me just find it real quick. I'm sorry. I apologize. Just let me find it real quick here. I don't want to paraphrase it. I want to read it as it was written. Let me see here. Okay, I'm going to read this. I think this is what John was referring to. Again, this is in the CBS article, Dennis Dodd, breaking news this evening, right before we came on. The Pac-12 remains without a new media rights deal, with their prospects seemingly diminishing. The likes of Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah could potentially be lured to the Big 12. The idea would be to convince those schools they could make more money in the Big 12. The Pac-12 remains without a new media rights deal, with their prospects seemingly diminishing. With their prospects seemingly diminishing. Like, is Dennis Dodd saying their Pac-12's ability to make any deal worth anything is seemingly diminishing? Does that mean that ESPN is completely just backing out? They're backing out because they want to help engineer this scenario? I mean, that's what it sounds like. Again, I go back to the dots are seemingly connecting, aren't they? Tell me I'm crazy. Nobody in the chat room has told me I'm crazy tonight. I'm very disappointed in all of you. Please let me know if you think I'm way off base. Please let me know. Someone come in and tell me that I'm nuts. Monovision, already losing recruits. Exposure is important. We talk about this all the time. Again, tip the cap to Brett Yormark, who valued the exposure. Got the deal done early, Fox Sports, ESPN. $31.6 million per school? Thank you very much. He took the deal because he made sure they maxed out on the exposure. Kevin Warren gets he gets an offer from CBS for $350 million a year for the afternoon window of Big Ten content. He gets the offer of $350 million from NBC. Kevin Warren says, thank you very much. He gets an offer from Amazon exceeding more than $350 million a year from CBS and NBC. And Kevin Warren ponders it and says, no, not at this time. because he wanted to make sure that the maximum exposure was there for the Big Ten. He wanted that cross-promotional piece. NBC, CBS, and Fox are going to be cross-promoting within Big Ten throughout the day, those Big Ten games. On NFL Sunday, CBS, NBC, and Fox all carry NFL games, and each of those networks are going to have 2 spots every Sunday promoting the upcoming week's Big Ten games. And of course, that leads us to Notre Dame. We're not, again, I keep saying this on all these live shows, we're not going to talk about Notre Dame tonight, but the walls are closing in on Notre Dame. You can go through my YouTube channels. I've had some episodes on Notre Dame, but a lot of this affects Notre Dame as well. The exposure race, the money race, these super conferences being able to make more and more decisions on their future, to be able to create most likely in a couple of years, these huge NIL conference deals for the student athletes, to be able to take part of those big media contracts and take a slice off and give it to their student athletes, direct deposits into the student athletes. And then you've got the news coming out this week, USC, Pac-12, possible student athletes having to become employees of the school. That's going to be a nationwide thing in the next couple of years. If you think that a lot of changes have happened, just buckle up, brace for impact. More changes are on the way. Okay, I'm going to get back to your comments. Sorry about all that. Woo! Okay. R. Webb, nice to see you in the house. No worries, peek around the corner. Leonard will fit just fine at Baylor. Ooh. Ooh, is there some steam? I haven't read that. Let me know if there's some steam with all that. Leonard to Baylor. David Aranda and Leonard back together. Wow. Wow. Let me know about that. Thank you, R. Webb. That could be something. That could be something very interesting. Is that why Dave Aranda fired his defensive coordinator a month ago? Interesting. Greg knew about a report of the Big 12 wrestling expansion, Big 10 expansion, hiring a Fleck. Yeah, we've broken a lot of good stuff because a lot of good people have told us a lot of good information. And we've also had the platform to do it. Minnesota 247, the great Ryan Burns, let us break those stories, national and local stories. USC 247, Mr. Abraham, he took all of our information and he ran with it. They did podcasts about USC, talking to the Big Ten well before anybody in Los Angeles even knew it was going on. So we're very thankful. A lot of people gave us a platform and the opportunity to break those stories. Because without a platform, who's listening, right? Who can listen? That's why we created this YouTube channel. So now we can really be that, the outcasts of college football. Okay, Monovision. Rebecca, it's happening. Dante Moore will be the next to flip. Recruits will be sold games on broadcast TV with NFL tie-ins. It's going to happen. I mean, it's not going to be total, right? Oregon and Washington, big-time programs, they're going to get good recruits, successful programs, of course. The real worry is, the middle and the bottom of the Pac-12 conference is going to weaken even more. Less people are going to watch it. Less eyeballs, less money going to Washington and Oregon. This is why Washington and Oregon are going to keep swinging away to try to get into the Big Ten. They're going to keep attempting it. And I think eventually they will be successful. But not right now. Expansion button. The pause button has been pushed on that. But Dante Moore, the recruit of Dante Moore, looks like he's going to go to UCLA. Now, possible flip from Oregon to Washington. The number 3 national rated high school quarterback in the country, Dante Moore. Committed to Oregon. He's taken a visit to UCLA. He's had his arms around Chip Kelly. How much of it has to do with the tie-in of, again, UCLA playing in the Big Ten in 2024, his second year, 2025 would be Dante Moore's third year? I don't know, but you're going to be seeing more and more of a bonanza. UCLA's recruiting is going to escalate. It just is. That's why there's a reason why Texas and Oklahoma called Greg Sankey together. They called him, they were together when they called Greg Sankey. It wasn't because SEC championship was going to be easier to win than the Big 12. That had nothing to do with it. Of course, winning the Big 12 would be easier. But there are other reasons why you'd want to go to the SEC. Money, exposure, better opportunities for your student athletes. It's the same reason why USC called the Big Ten, UCLA called the Big Ten. Consolidation of money, NIL, brands wanting to play brands more often. It's all this consolidation. That's what's going on right now. Everyone's trying to improve themselves. Everyone's trying to get into a better position. We did an episode this morning. University of California Board of Regents, Lieb, Mr. Lieb, said that I wish California were going to the Big Ten. We try to put pressure on the Big Ten to get us to go in there with Washington, Stanford, and Oregon. But it wasn't meant to be. So everyone's trying to improve themselves. Observer 46, nice to see you in the house, sir. Appreciate it. If the Big 12 can get Pac-12 schools, it will be totally as a result of the total incompetence of Kliavkoff. He has spent months worrying about UCLA rather than the PAC contract. I agree with you partially. Thank you for the comment, but not totally. Kliavkoff had a mess when he came aboard. He had a mess to deal with. He had a Pac-12 network that should never have been constructed the way it was constructed. They should have followed the model of the Big Ten or the SEC, although those two models are different. The SEC Conference Network, they had a sugar daddy. They had ESPN. But ESPN owns all of it. Big Ten had a sugar daddy to help with distribution, was Fox Sports. In the original Big Ten network, 51% of it was owned by Big Ten, 49% by Fox Sports. And then it quickly flipped. Fox Sports owned 51% of it. Big Ten owned 49% of it. And now Fox Sports owns 61% of it. Big Ten owns 39% of it. And within that 39% ownership, there are going to be 17 slices. Right now, there are 15 slices. But in 2024, August 2nd, there'll be 17 slices of ownership in the Big Ten network in the Big Ten. The Big Ten Conference will get a slice of ownership, and all those other 16 schools get a slice of ownership. And that in itself is worth millions and millions of dollars to those schools. What the Pac-12 did is the Pac-12 Conference took total ownership of a network. Didn't have a sugar daddy to pay for it. The schools had to do it all. The Pac-12 didn't have any distribution carriage agreements done. They had to climb, they had to push that huge rock up a hill constantly, yearly, and they couldn't get it done. Then they split their Pac-12 network up into 6 different channels. We could spend a whole episode on that alone, but we won't. That's the past. So Kliavkoff had a mess on his hands. But he's done himself no favors with his loose talk about UCLA would make less money in the Big Ten than the Pac-12. He has lost his credibility inside that conference. There's a fracture there in the Pac-12. We've talked about it for those who've been watching us for weeks and months. There's a fracture in there. Kliavkoff has been very loose with some of his statements. The latest one was, well, I'm paraphrasing, well, of course we didn't sign the deal, Pac-12 deal yet, partially because we knew Deion Sanders was going to sign a contract as the head football coach of the Colorado Buffaloes. And we knew that was a silly comment to make. So he's done himself no favors, but it is not all his fault. Definitely not. Most of it isn't his fault, actually. He had a mess to deal with. Lots of comments. I'm going to try to get to them all. If you want to make sure I get to your comments, just hit the donation sign with a little donation. But please smash that like button if you like our content. It helps with the algorithms, peek around of YouTube so very much. So thank you so very much. Monovision. When the Big 12 starts sharing revenue, it will be an even bigger disadvantage for everyone not in the Big 10. Well, other conferences will be as well. They'll be sharing their revenue as well. They just won't be able to share it in the same level as the Big 10 and the SEC. And that is one of the big components on why Texas and Oklahoma called the SEC all the way back a couple years ago. That was the one huge component. And we tweeted that out in 2019 at Flug Empire, a Twitter account. That people have known this is coming. This change is coming. It's coming down the tracks. Nothing's going to stop it. So Texas and Oklahoma wanted to elevate their ability to fund their student athletes, to raise the compensation level of their student athletes. And it's not just going to be about the football and the basketball players and the revenue sports. It's also going to be about the non-revenue sports, student athletes. But the biggest compensation levels to be boosted are going to be in football and basketball. The revenue makers. Baseball in the SEC. Hockey in the Big Ten. Women's volleyball in the Big Ten is going to be a revenue producer here in the next decade. Not a non-revenue sport, a revenue sport here in the next decade. You better believe that. That's happening. T-Duck, the Pac-6 lives. Yes. The Pac-6 lives. UC Region Gumby, PAC 3.14. Rebecca, I also think Stanford players recently won a lawsuit in regards to unionizing. I'm going to, Rebecca, great comment. I'm going to shelve that subject off. Maybe talking about it in my next episode or early next week. The whole unionizing, the whole student athletes becoming employees, that's just a huge component to all of this, possibly the biggest one. And we're going to talk about that early next week. Greg, if you're crazy, I'm certified, excuse me, I'm certifiably insane with my expansion conspiracies. Yes, you are, Mr. Buckeye. Yes, you are. You're also crazy to donate money to this channel for me to sing the Georgia fight song if the Bulldogs beat your Buckeyes in the playoffs just because you think I'm Greg the Cooler. That I will, because you donated that song, you've ensured the Buckeyes to beat Georgia. But I got a feeling, Monovision, I will be singing the Georgia Bulldogs fight song come at the night of December 31st. December 31st, we're going to be doing 2 watch parties. Back-to-back football games. It's going to be a marathon. And I'm probably going to be doing some singing of fight songs because people donate. And if their team wins, I sing their song. So if you want to watch the game at home and then put us up on your phone or tablet, have a watch party, we put comments down in real time. Make sure you mute me when I start to sing songs. So make sure, I'm just giving you a warning. We're going to be doing 2 watch-alongs live, both college football playoff games, Bulldogs versus the Buckeyes, Wolverines versus the Horned Frogs. Please join us. If you want to have some fun, please join us. Anthony Palika, first live show I've caught. Love the content. Thank you for the work. Appreciate you with Anthony. Come back again. Come back again. We cover everything college football because we love everything college football. And if you love it, come on in. Come on in. Appreciate it. Tony. Tough Tony. Tough Tony because he gives me all the tough questions. Every question he gives me is a tough one. Tony is also a Gopher. There's not many Gophers in my chat room. They all hate me because I had to sing an Iowa fight song because of a generous donation from Eisman 57 on this channel, an Iowa Hawkeye himself. He said if Iowa beats Minnesota, which of course they did, he would donate to the show. Iowa beat my Gophers, so I had to sing an Iowa fight song live. And since I did that, Gopher fans do not like me at all. I'm going to have to get back into their hearts. I also sang the Gophers fight song, so Minnesota fight song. But Tony, thank you so much. You're the only Gopher guy who likes me right now. Thank you for your generous donation. Appreciate you so very much. You contribute to the show. This show is run by all of you. Every live show is the same. I put out a main focus. I do my monologue. But then the show is directed by your comments. I flow with your comments, guys and gals. I just flow with whatever you guys want to talk about. Daniel, could be why the Big Ten resisted the Cal Board of Regents. Why cave to pressure when you know you can press your own reduced deal? Cal would accept less just to become a member. Yes, but I would, all that is good, Daniel. I would just replace that Cal with Washington, Oregon, and possibly Stanford. I mean, this could all end up, this crazy scenario that we're talking about tonight, which is becoming more real because of the CBS Sports breaking news tonight. You can find the link on the description box below the video. This pressure of a reduced deal that maybe Oregon and Washington could take even less just to get into that Big Ten boat, to get in there. That could be the end game of all this. Because remember, Washington and Oregon have had both independent, separate talks, preliminary talks with the Big Ten. From our own intel at Peek Around the Corner that we announced months ago, that Washington, from a Big Ten employee, from a Big Ten university, told BTM, one of our associates, the Money Perch, that Washington Huskies was easy. I'm going to get it wrong. I'm paraphrasing it. But they were easy to rally around, easy to digest. I forget what the other phrase was. But they were easy to discuss. They were easy to support among the Big Ten presidents. In Oregon, big brand multiplier. So that could be the end game of all this. Maybe that's why the expansion button was pushed. For now, we'll see. Some of these dots are connecting. Some of these dots are definitely connecting. Monovision, I think Cal is out. Yeah, Cal is out. Well, as you know, Danielle, Monovision, people here have been following us. We said from day one, we've got no smoke on California. University of California, Berkeley. None. We couldn't get it. We talked about it in an episode this morning. We looked for it and we couldn't get it. The money perch looked for it and we couldn't get it. No smoke around the University of California, Berkeley being targeted by the Big Ten. Stanford, yes. Oregon, yes. Washington, yes. Even long shots like Utah. Long shots like Utah are live shots. We got more steam on Utah being a long shot to the Big Ten than we got from the University of California, Berkeley. For those who have missed our episode today, I think it was episode 117, take a look at it, watch it. Very quick 13-minute episode. We explain University of California. We believe they're completely out. Okay. Urgent Regent Gumby, smash that like button. Monovision, I still have hope for Oregon, Washington, Stanford, Notre Dame. So does Kevin Warren. So do the Big Ten presidents. Notre Dame would grease the skids of all of that. A Notre Dame entry in the Big Ten would grease the skids for Stanford, Washington, and Oregon. Without question. Without a doubt. Right? Without a doubt. We know that Notre Dame is specifically named in the Big Ten media contract with NBC, CBS, Fox. We know, so they all know the numbers of what each Big Ten school would get if Notre Dame would join the conference. They know the percentage increase, what Big Ten schools would expect to get. And that number must be pretty high. And that in itself might be the reason for the pause on further expansion. The further talks with Notre Dame. Because I'm hesitant to talk about Notre Dame tonight. We haven't been talking about them. I keep pushing them off. There's a reason for it, but won't get into it tonight. But the walls are closing in on Notre Dame to keep their football independent status. It just is. But there's so much there. There's so much meat on the bone there. We're going to push that off to another. Believe me, there's going to be many opportunities to talk about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and if they can keep their football independent status. You can go into our YouTube channel and scour the videos, and you can see videos that we talked about Notre Dame and their issues going forward. Not just now, but in the years like 2026 and after, how difficult it's going to be to keep their football independent status. It's going to become more and more difficult. But we're going to hit that later. Monovision, if the Buckeyes win the Natty, Greg will be singing Ice, Ice, Baby. Not without a donation. Not without a donation. We got a donation. If Georgia wins, I will sing the Georgia fight song. For me to sing Ice, Ice, Baby, there's got to be a donation if the Buckeyes win attached to that. Or I will not be singing Ice, Ice, Baby. KWKSU, Kansas State, I presume. Thanks for coming in. Got in late, but who do you think will be going to the Big 12? Well, the chalk, the favorites would be Arizona and Colorado if this scenario starts to play out further and further down the road. But man, this could open up other gates. It could open up other doors for the Big 12. I mean, Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports, we read it again, says basically the media contract, the new media contract the Pac-12 is getting, I forget what the words he used, but it's seemingly becoming more unattainable. I'm not sure what the exact words were. But read the article, KSU. The link is in the description below the video. Right now, the chalk would be Colorado and Arizona, but I wouldn't close the door on any scenario right now. Not after reading that CBS article and other articles, Brett McMurphy's. Things are popping. Things are popping. Rebecca, touchdown North Dakota State. It's tied pending an extra point.
Touchdown! Touchdown! Touchdown!
North Dakota State Bison. We had an episode on them just last week. That it was called, I forget what the number of the episode was, but it was basically the 11th FBS conference is forming, right? Among some FCS schools, possibly 11th. Would North Dakota State finally make the leap to FBS? Their athletic director basically said they're ready. If they get invited, if things look good, they're ready to join an FBS conference. North Dakota State, the incentive is there for them to move up because of that new playoff money. That incredible amount of revenue going to be pouring in. We don't know what the number is going to be, but the projections are it could be over $2 billion a year. 80% of that $2 billion goes to the Power 5 programs. 20% of that goes to the G5 schools. The money, that 20% of the playoff distribution going to those G5 schools is going to be more money than those G5 schools making their media deals. Way more money. So those G5 schools are going to see money that they've never seen before. That's an incentive for North Dakota State to make that bump up from FCS to FBS. That's the motivation for the South Dakota State Jackrabbits to make that move from FCS to FBS. The motivation is there. The motivation is there. Rebecca says, people destroy me for saying NDSU should join the MAC if they do. Don't think people should be destroying you, Rebecca. That's a possibility. Not the chalk, but a possibility. No doubt about it. Gary, Mr. Nittly Lion, do you think the SEC would want to expand north or west? I think the SEC's got their eyes focused on, in their next expansion, North Carolina and Virginia. Those are the two that they want the most. From strongly held opinion at Peek Around the Corner, from BTM and his associates, that's who the SEC wants next. Luis Carlos Diaz, San Diego State to the Big 12. San Diego State's just got to hang on tight. See how the dominoes fall. Hopefully the Pac-12. The chances, Luis, of the Pac-12 completely disappearing are basically 0 to none. So that means San Diego State's going to be right there to be added on to a Power 5 program. And that's exactly what San Diego State wants to happen, especially going from 2026 beyond, because we don't know what that world's going to look like. So if you have a chance as a G5 program to move into a Power 5 conference, you do so. You do so. Even if it's a lesser Power 5 conference, like possibly the Pac-12 is going to be, it looks like it's going to be, San Diego State has to make that move if they can. And we think they'll be able to make that move. Gonzaga, do Big 12 be a huge pay boost for them? The whole Gonzaga Big 12 thing is about exposure for Gonzaga. They want to make sure Gonzaga is trying to, in this new world, they're trying to get into a Power 6 basketball conference because of the extreme exposure it will give them. It will secure them. Their basketball, big brand, it will secure them. That's what they're going for. And Fox Sports wants it to happen. Fox Sports got the rights to Big 12 basketball. Fox Sports and Big 12 are aligned in trying to get Gonzaga. Now it's up to Gonzaga, and we've been told the decision window goes out till the end of January here in the next month. We shall see what happens. If something happens, we think it pops soon. Tony, maybe North Dakota State and South Dakota State join the Mountain West if some of those schools move to the PAC. Possibly. Rebecca, per reports that San Diego State president called Kliavkoff while on vacation when they said they were looking to expand. Can't remember who reported that though. I don't know about that report. I didn't hear that one. But there was a report that San Diego State president did call Washington's president immediately on June 30th. We know that happened. And I'm sure San Diego State's president called Kliavkoff. I just haven't read that report. But without a question, they did. But we're going to wrap it up here. We've been on for a long time. Peek around the corner, more than an hour and a half on an emergency live show. Thank you all for coming. I did not give you any time to prepare. But when that CBS Sports report broke from Dennis Dodd about how the early exit of Oklahoma and Texas, 1 year early exit coming out from the Big 12 to the SEC, happening in 2024 instead of happening in 2025. That could fuel further Big 12 expansion. And that further Big 12 expansion, Brett Yormark is focused on those four corner, they call them the four corner schools of the Big 12. Utah, Arizona State, and Colorado, with the two chalks, the two favorites being Colorado and Arizona. Big breaking news tonight. So we had to do this live show. I appreciate all the donations to help us keep the lights on. Please smash that like button before you leave. Please subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so. You'll be notified. You'll be helped be notified. Follow us at Flug Empire on Twitter. Until next time, from all of us that peek around the corner to all of you, please, you all take care of each other. Thank you so very much.